Good morning, students. In the previous class, we discussed about mammals and birds. Today we will discuss about another group of animals with backbone, that are reptiles. But before that, let me recap what we discussed in the previous class. Birds have a few features that make them called birds. For example, one of the main features of the birds are that they reproduce by laying eggs. Then the second point that we discussed as one of the features of the birds is that they have got wings and they can fly. And there are a few birds which cannot fly because they are not lightweight. But those birds that can fly, their bones are hollow from inside, and so this makes them lightweight, and so they are able to fly, and they reproduce by laying eggs. So these were the features of the birds that we discussed in the previous class. Today we will read about reptiles. As mentioned in your book, reptiles have hard, tough scales or shells on their bodies. So all the reptiles, they have got tough scales or shells on their body. If you see a crocodile, you must have observed how tough the body of a crocodile or an alligator is. Or when you see a turtle or tortoise, you can observe its body is covered with very hard and tough shells. So the reptiles, they have, one of the features of the reptiles is that they have hard, tough scales or shells on their bodies, and they reproduce by laying eggs. The reptiles also reproduce by laying eggs. They have hard, tough scales or shells on their bodies. They reproduce by laying eggs. And the reptiles, how do they move on the ground? They crawl. They crawl on the ground to move. So there are a few animals like crocodiles, tortoises, turtles, lizard, snakes. All these are reptiles, and you may have observed all these animals, they crawl on the ground. On page number 43, you can see reptiles have hard, tough scales or shells that cover their bodies. Turtles, tortoises, alligators, crocodiles, lizards and snakes belong to this group. And the reptiles, they reproduce by laying eggs. We'll discuss about these reptiles, and also we'll discuss their similarities and differences. At first, we'll discuss about the similarities and differences between the turtles and tortoises. All of you may have seen turtles and tortoises, and many of you must have put turtles in your aquariums also. So you can see here turtles and tortoises. At first we'll discuss the similarities. What is common between them? Both of these, turtles and tortoises, they are very slow animals and they walk very slow on land. And both these reptiles, turtles and tortoises, they have hard shells on their bodies. As you can see, the bodies of turtles and tortoises both have got hard shells on their bodies. Now we discussed about the similarities. What are the differences between them? Turtles live in water, whereas tortoises, they live on land. Turtles have webbed feet. All of you know an aquatic animal has got webbed feet so that it can swim easily in water. So the turtles, they live in water, so they have got webbed feet. Whereas the tortoises, they live on land, so to walk on the land, they have round and stumpy feet. Like turtles and tortoises, alligators and crocodiles too have a few similarities and differences between them. Let's at first know about the similarities. What are the things that are common between both these reptiles, alligators and crocodiles. Alligators and crocodiles both have hard, tough and scaly skins. I'm sure all of you have visited a zoo and you may have seen crocodiles and alligators, and you may have seen how hard or tough their body is. And both these reptiles, they have very short legs. They have very short legs to crawl on the ground, but they have a very powerful tail. Now we discussed the similarity. Let's now discuss the differences. The alligators, they are found in fresh water, whereas crocodiles, they are mostly found in seawater, and all of you know seawater is salty. Alligators, they are found in fresh water, whereas crocodiles are found in seawater. Alligators are found only in USA and China, whereas crocodiles are found all over the world. So these are the similarities and differences between turtles and tortoises and alligators and crocodiles. All of you know snake is also a reptile. So we'll discuss about snake. Snakes are reptiles without legs. So, the first point about snake is it's a reptile that do not have legs. A reptile snake is a reptile without legs. So, if the snakes do not have legs, then how do they move on the ground? How do they crawl on the ground? If you have seen a snake, you may have seen they crawl on the ground. How do they crawl? Their body have got scales, and with the help of these scales, they are able to crawl on the ground. Snakes smell. A snake uses the scales on its underside to help it move. So a snake has scales. These are the scales present on its underside of its body, and with the help of these scales only, they are able to crawl ahead. Now, the snakes smell with their tongue. They have flexible jaws that allow them to eat prey bigger than their heads. You may have heard about snakes eating animals even double of their size, or sometimes even more than their size. How is it possible? Because the jaws of the snakes, they are flexible. When they try to swallow their prey, their jaws, they can stretch very big, and if they are able to stretch their jaws too big, they can swallow animals bigger than their sizes. And all the snakes are carnivores. Carnivores means flesh-eating animals. Carnivores are those animals that eat flesh of other animals. So all these snakes are carnivores. So what are the points that we discussed about snakes? Snakes are reptiles without legs. They move with the help of scales present on the underside of its body, and they smell with their tongue, and the last thing, their jaws are flexible to eat bigger prey, and all these snakes are carnivores, means all these snakes, they eat flesh of other animals. Snakes are reptiles without legs. They move with the help of the scales present on the underside of their bodies. They smell with their tongue, and their jaws are flexible. They are stretchable to eat prey which are even bigger than their size. And all these snakes are carnivores. Then we have a fact file. The body temperature of reptiles changes according to the temperature outside. When it is hot outside, when the temperature is hot, these reptiles, they need to look for some shady place and to cool itself down. And when it is cold outside, these reptiles, they need to find a warm place so that they can survive. So these are the points that we discussed today about reptiles. The worksheet has been sent to the group. Please write it very neatly in your notebook and go through all the videos once again, revise till explained. Thank you and have a nice day.